friends, this is Dr. Amarjit Kaur, Professor of Accounting and Business Communication at the Department of Management, Gurugram University, Gurugram. This is my privilege to be here to discuss about brainstorming skills. So the brainstorming skills is a very important topic. It actually refers to the techniques which are known as critical techniques. It's a part of critical techniques which are used to generate idea and to solve any problem in hand. So that's what the brainstorming skills are. We have 4 categories of brainstorming skills. The first one is analytical brainstorming. The second one is silent brainstorming techniques. The third one is collaborative brainstorming skill, and the fourth one is hypothetical brainstorming skills. So friends, in a few minutes ago we have discussed about the first brainstorming skill, which we call as analytical brainstorming skill. Now we are going to talk about the 3 more brainstorming skills, 3 categories of brainstorming skills, the last 3 which I just said. So I will begin with the first one, silent technique. So this is in row, it is second one, but otherwise I am going to discuss the 3 techniques. So this is the silent technique I am going to discuss. So what are silent techniques of brainstorming? Silent brainstorming techniques comprises those methods where groups or individuals come up with ideas in writing or through another silent medium. So here the focus is on remaining silent. So I do not know what you said, what you wrote. So if it is being brainstormed in in writing, so what will happen? I will write my idea, the other person will write his or her idea, and at the end the leader will review all the ideas. So here brainstorming is happening, but it is not loud, it is not, so it means that one is not influencing the thinking of other, because if we are brainstorming loudly in a group or in otherwise in any ways, then there's a likelihood that many people may not like to think on their own, they may not like to form their own opinion or take their own stand. They will simply see who is saying what, and if I am close to X, I will support X idea, if I am close to Y, I will support the Y's idea, right? So that can be avoided under silent techniques. So silent techniques comprises all the methods which are used for groups or individual, but here the ideas are in writing. Okay, so there are 3 techniques under the silent techniques category. Number 1, collaborative brain writing. Number 2, Crawford slip writing. Number 3, trigger statement. So what is that? Collaborative brain writing. So here what will happen? People are sitting in a group, right? And then one person has started with something. Let's say the sales are declining. So I will write the sales are declining because of XYZ reason. So I wrote something. So then I will pass on that piece of paper to the second person who is next to me. He will write his or her. He may write that I do agree, he may write I disagree, and I think this is the reason. Now that paper goes to third person, he or she writes his or her opinion, and this keeps on going, and now after everybody in the room has, or in the discussion, have written their views, so finally the leader will go through it, and then he will try to make some sense out of it, right? What is the most commonly pointed out the factor? What is most connected one? So this is known as collaborative brain writing. The second was Crawford slip writing. So here, we do not write on the same piece of paper. Here everybody is given the problem, everybody writes independently on a slip, right? So slip writing, Crawford. So the technique is known as Crawford slip writing, because here I will be writing what I think correct. So the problem is thrown once, right? The problem, the idea generation requirement is thrown once in the group. and thereafter everybody is given the chance at the same point of time to write. What was happening in the collaborative brain writing? It was passing over from one to the another, right, that piece of paper. In the Crawford slip writing, everybody is writing on a slip but at a same point. So as I said, the silent techniques are always writing skills, so the person doesn't know what the other person is writing. So it is known as slip writing, Crawford slip writing. The trigger statement is that somebody will will start with the discussion, will trigger a statement, and then people would be required to respond to that statement, right? Something has been triggered, right? And then people are supposed to be writing specifically to that statement, in response to that statement. So these are the silent techniques which are pursued for discussion, for generating ideas, for solving problems, and all the three are known as silent techniques. Now we will move to the third. In fact, in a row it is a third, but otherwise for this session we are going to discuss the second one, collaborative techniques. So collaborative techniques of brainstorming are what? So collaborative brainstorming techniques involve such method in which teams would discuss ideas or brainstorm silently in groups for later conversation about the problem or topic. So here what is happening? People are not discussing individually. People are discussing in groups. So collaborative discussions are happening in all the techniques which we'll have. We are going to discuss various tools here. So all the techniques have one thing common. They focus on collaborative discussion, right? And the ideas are brainstormed first in groups, and later on the conversation can be taken individually or smaller groups. But initially the ideas are brainstormed silently in groups, and then they go further for discussion. So what are the techniques under this category? There are a couple of them. I am going to discuss 5 of the techniques which are taken as collaborative techniques. Number 1, rapid ideation. There is a time limit here. Number 2 is round table, which we call. Third is group ideation. Fourth is chariot. Fifth is step ladder. So there are 5 techniques which are known as collaborative techniques. I am going to discuss. They all names are very interesting. I am going to discuss all the 5 in detail now. The rapid ideation. What does it mean? Here it's like rapid fire round. You would have participated in many games at your college and during your college days or your office work as well. So here ideas are thrown, but under the time limit. The rapid fire round. We have many TV shows where rapid rounds are actually used. Something similar to that. So we have a time limit. You have 30 seconds to answer to this question. Problem is happening due to XYZ. So everybody is given a chance, 30 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 1 minute. So there's a time limit. So you are supposed to answer to the problem or to the topic. It's not always the problem. We may generate a new idea, right? There's no such problem. We are trying to build something new, right? So it's a rapid fire round. Why it is used? Because it is assumed something which comes promptly as is a natural answer. Though it is less thought of, but it is intuitive. It comes from within, right? This is the logic by the people who developed this technique. So it is known as rapid ideation. So the importance or the feature of this particular technique is there's a time limit. Okay. The second is round robin or round table. So here everybody sits in a round table, across the round table, right? So sits together, and then they they discuss openly, right, collaboratively and openly. One after the another speaks, everybody is listening to what others said, and everybody gets a chance to speak. So first said something, second said something. So since it is open discussion, in the previous technique it was in writing, here it is a discussion. So I said something, the other person sitting next to me in the table, round table, may challenge my idea, may support my idea, may add to it, may subtract something. So it's free. But it is happening one after another. There are 20 people. So second said something, third said something, third may support the first, third may support the second, third may challenge both of them, right? And so on. So discussion is happening. The leader who is leading the discussion is actually taking out or taking a note of that points made by everyone, right? So it is called as round robin discussion. So the third one is group ideation. As there is a name in front of you, it says group ideation. So what is that? Here ideas are generated in groups. So we divide, so we put people in groups and they discuss, right? So here everybody is throwing, ideas. Anybody in the group can speak. It's not in order. In the round robin, what was happening? Everybody was speaking one after the another. So in the order of the sitting, in the order of the sequence of their sitting, they were talking, right? So it was going very smoothly one after another. But in the group idea, nobody is given, that you should be speaking first. Something has been just thrown. This is the problem. Sales are declining. Production is declining. The production fault, is increasing. The clients, the customers' complaints are rising. Any such thing. There are more faults in the plant breakdown numbers, is any such problem, right? So it is just thrown. The problem is thrown. What are your opinions? So it's a group is being called up. They are sitting together, and then some problem or some topic that we want to introduce a new product. So what is your opinion? So it's just a new topic. It's not a problem as such, but there's a new discussion. There's something to be decided about, right? So it could be either a problem or something to be decided about, but people are not given, any sequence, chance to speak in any sequence. They are just given a problem or a topic to respond to that. So somebody who is a good orator or is a more confident may come up first. Somebody who is more close to that problem or has more experience may come up first, and then the rest of the people will build upon that or challenge of that. But this is what is known as group ideation. So this is the third technique under collaborative. So people are trying to solve the problem together. Either it is rapid ideation, round robin, or group ideation. The solution is been trying to be generated through the collaborative effort. The fourth one is the chariot one. Here we have, let's say, 30 people, and we formed 5 groups of 6 members each. So we have groups within the groups, right? There are total 30 members who belong to one product, but they are looking after different aspects. Somebody is looking after the specification, somebody is looking after pricing, few people are working on the marketing, few people are working on the production of that product. So what we did, we generated 6 groups or 5 groups of those 30 people, right? And then people of similar work profile, similar nature, similar background, similar contacts, they are sitting together and they are forming, and then they come up with their suggestion to the problem or to the topic, and then thereafter the discussion takes place by the team leader with those groups. So what does it mean? It means those small groups, they worked independently. They did not get influence or got a chance to get influenced by others, right? So here the problem is divided into parts, is given partially to one team, to another team, to another, so all the groups which are formed, and thereafter after the smaller groups have worked out, then it is a discussion by the larger group or led by the team leader. The so this technique is known as chariot. This is a very good technique, provided people are well aware how to divide. It means the person who is going to divide the group into groups should have sense, should have common sense, should have background knowledge, should have capacity and the experience and understanding of developing or forming those groups. Right? This is the fourth one under this category. Now the fifth one is step ladder. So what is step ladder? So we call it as group briefing and 101 entry. So we will, let's say there are 30 people we think are the ones can help us solving that problem. They have one or the other kind of exposure, understanding or connection with the problem in hand or connection with the topic we want to discuss. So we identified so let's say XYZ company limited is there. They want to discuss about, again I will take the example of declining sales, and the company identified there are about 30 people who are somehow, either they come to research, they are from the research team or sales team or marketing team or production team. So they have some kind of connection, right? So we called up those 30 people in a group. So they sat together in a group initially, and that leader who is leading the discussion, who is actually pursuing the brainstorming session, he or she briefs the problem to the whole group. So all 30 people are together in the boardroom. They are briefed about the problem or about the topic in hand by the leader who is leading the brainstorming exercises, right? And then after that, we ask them to leave. I'm explaining the whole process, right? So they all are left. They all leave the boardroom. They have been given the problem. They have been asked to think about it, and then they go back to their offices or they go back to some other room, and then they are told to come one by one. Right? So the problem is briefed in group, but then when they come back, we listen to their opinion independently, their idea independently. So the team leader, not here the team means team, here the leader who is leading the discussion, who is leading the brainstorming exercise, he will note down the views of the number one person, his ideas. Then the second person comes. So if the first person leaves, the second person comes. He notes down his or her idea, third person, and so on. This is known as step ladder, right? The first step where everybody is briefed, second step on the ladder where one by one everybody is stepping up. So this is the technique which is known as step ladder, and also interesting technique. It is used in different areas and comes under collaborative techniques category, the third category in journal. Now I am going to discuss about the last category of brainstorming techniques, which is known as hypothetical technique. So hypothetical technique is this refers to such techniques where brainstorming evolves around what if questions and focuses on creating problem solving, sometimes in non-traditional ways. Let me explain what a hypothetical technique is. Here, as I have read for you, in this technique the brainstorming does take place, but it storms around, or brainstorming is done around certain questions. What if this happens? What if this has happened? What if this factor plays this role? What if, right? So we have certain hypothetical situations, questions, problems already thought about, right? So it evolves around hypothetical situations, characters, people, so that's so it focuses on creative problem solving, right? So it's a very creative way of engaging people on hypothetical question. and it is also known as a non-traditional way because people are not sitting together and putting up their their ideas. They are in fact given why this happened, they are given certain roles, certain time situations. So there are a couple of things which happen. So we have 5 techniques under hypothetical techniques category. So the first is 5 whys. Under this category, the first technique is 5 whys. Second category is role plays. The third category is change the attribute. The fourth is time travel, and the fifth one is reverse the process. So let me discuss all of them now one by one. The first is 5 whys. So why this happened? So why it has happened? So we try to find out 5 whys. So why that have happened? If that has happened, then why that has happened? If that has happened, why that has happened? So we make it creative. People are bound to answer every why, right? So it's a hypothetical situation. We are assuming why this has happened. Then basis on that why, another why has been answered. So this is known as 5 whys. The second is the role play. Here, people are given some problem, but they are told to assume themselves in a role. Let's say one person is asked to assume himself in a marketing manager's role. Second is been asked to assume himself as a sales guy. Third is been asked to assume himself as a production guy, and then they challenge each other. So if you are a production guy, what do you think this problem is, why it is happening? So here we are getting why, we are getting answers to the problem, but people are assuming themselves in role plays. In teaching, we use this role play technique. Here students assume themselves in a particular role, right? So they play as a character, X character, Y character. Same thing happen in the hypothetical technique. In this discussion, one is performing a particular role, right? So that's why we call it as a role play, and then they discuss. So if I am a sales manager, I may not be given a chance or role. It has been said, it has been written that people who are playing actually a salesperson guy should not be given a salesperson guy's role during the discussion, because he may not be able to think beyond what he is already knowing it, because we are discussing his problem, right? So it is said that it's better that someone else is being given that, because a new perspective will come, new discussion point will come. So this is role play. So somebody who has not played that role in actually is given the chance to get a new way. It's known as creative way to get ideas, right? So this is a second hypothetical technique which we use for brainstorming. The third is change the attribute. Here new trait. Let's say somebody has a particular sales marketing skill. He's been asked to develop or assume the sales skill, production skill. It's kind of role play, but here we are changing a particular trait of the person, that he cannot speak, he cannot run, he cannot sell, he cannot, or he can, either way. So here we are changing the attribute. We are not giving a particular role, but we are focusing on a trait, on a attribute of the person who is actually discussing. The fourth one is time travel. It's very interesting. We in this kind of discussion or hypothetical technique, we ask the person to assume that he is not in the current, he is not operating at the current time, in the current time. He is either operating 10 years before, or he is in a situation which was 10 years before, or 10 years after, or 5 years after, 5 years before, any timeline which is not today, right? So time travel, before or after, future or past. So person is asked to assume a time frame before or after. Let's say we are trying to solve a problem, we are not being able to solve it. So we will so that leader who is actually leading the discussion or brainstorming may simply ask the participants, who all are discussing the problem, to think what would have been the solution 10 years ago if this problem would have arisen. What would be the solution 10 years from to the same problem if it happens 10 years from now? And then people come back, previous, past to present or future to present. So it all depends. If it is a technical problem, it is a scientific problem, then this time travel technique is used. It's not that every time it is easy or it can be used. So the leader who is actually leading the brainstorming should have sense to decide either to use 5 whys or to role play or to change the attribute technique or to time travel technique, right? The last here is reverse the process. Here we do not talk about the problem which is there. We talk about the ways the problem can occur, right? There's no problem at this moment. We are just thinking, we are launching a process, a product, it's sounding very beautiful, it's sounding very good, but then we are just calling a meeting to discuss what are the possible problems which you think can happen, right? There's no problem in actual at this moment. We are trying to work beforehand. We are trying to work, in a situation where we are trying to assume. It's a kind of preventive technique. We are not allowing the problem to happen. We are taking a preventive measure and have called up all the stakeholders who can actually assess what all possible problems may arise in future, and then figure out the which is the real problem, which is the problem which seems to be arising in real in future, right? So here we do not have problem. We are reversing the process of discussion. So this is very interesting, and it is nowadays people does this quite often, especially when new product is launched, new technique is introduced, new process is being introduced. So these were the 5 techniques which are under hypothetical techniques. With this we come to end to the discussion. Just to summarize, we have discussed in total 4 techniques which are known as brainstorming techniques, and every technique has certain tools, certain techniques under that. So 3 were discussed now and 1 was discussed previously in the previous session. So in all the 4 categories of brainstorming techniques have been discussed. I hope these techniques will help you to solve problems at your workplace, to generate ideas at your workplace. So with this, I would like to sign off. Thank you very much.